Like and subscribe to Great Living Stories on YouTube and Rumble for stories of faith, endurance, and hope. The AI-narrated stories, at least for now, range from post-apocalyptic scenarios, return to life, to sleeper cell terrorist attacks, Texas border trouble, and eventually other survival scenarios as epic fiction. Discourse topics range from readiness-survival topics to spiritual topics. We pray you will join us and enjoy some time with our stories.
Is the spiritual realm real? Have you ever wondered if this physical realm is all there is? Many folks have wondered if there is such a thing as a spiritual realm or a spirit realm. In this discourse, I will provide factual information regarding this question, as well as a few other questions regarding the reality of the spiritual realm and what may or may not be taking place there. So grab your favorite beverage, pull up a seat, and let's get started. According to Pew Research Center, they state that 83% of all U.S. adults believe people have a soul or spirit in addition to their physical body. 81% say there is something spiritual beyond the natural world, even if we cannot see it. 74% say there are some things that science cannot possibly explain. It would seem, based on these stats, a majority of Americans believe there is some sort of a spiritual realm. If there is a spiritual realm, then is it inhabited? If it is inhabited, who or what is it inhabited by? Is there a spiritual war occurring within this spirit realm? If so, does it ever spill over into our physical realm? Lots of questions. The goal of this discourse is to bring some clarity to these questions. This discourse will supply the facts so you can decide for yourself the validity of the answers provided in this discourse, or allow you to dig deeper. At least this discourse may give you a place to start. This discourse will focus on a set of questions relating to the spirit realm and what might be occurring within that realm. The questions which will be discussed within this discourse include: does a spirit realm exist? What is the spiritual realm? Where is this spiritual realm? Can we see the spiritual realm? Assuming there is a spirit realm, then further questions which will be discussed include: are there spiritual beings in this spiritual realm? Where do they come from? Can we see them? Is there a spiritual war in the spiritual realm? Can these spiritual beings interact with humans? Are these spirits malevolent or benevolent, evil or friendly? A favorite hymn of mine is "I Love to Tell a Story." The first line of that hymn says, "I love to tell the story of unseen things above." I was whistling that song one morning while singing the song in my head, when that line really struck me: unseen things above. It speaks of a spirit realm. Wow. Talk about hiding in plain sight. How many times have we sung a hymn or even read a Bible verse and it talks about unseen, things we often take for granted or gloss over? An online search about what the first line in that song means did not return a single mention about unseen things. The searches mentioned the deep affection for sharing the narrative of Jesus and his love, which admittedly is at least partially what that song is about. However, the first line specifically addresses the unseen realm, indicating, again, an overlooking of the spiritual realm. One would think that a question regarding the line of a song would address that line. It seems a lot of us take a lot for granted. Let's explore this unseen realm a bit, shall we? Does a spiritual realm exist? The short answer, I believe, is unequivocally yes. The unseen realm, also known as the unseen world, or unseen realm, also known as spiritual realm, as well as many other names used to describe an invisible realm. Wikipedia defines the spirit world as the world or realm inhabited by spirits, both good or bad, of various spiritual manifestations. Author note: the unseen realm is also the name of a documentary film by the late Dr. Michael S. Heiser. It is a movie I highly encourage you to watch. Per the Think Institute, the spiritual realm is not just a mysterious concept. The Bible clearly states in Colossians 1:16, KJV, "For by him, God, all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created through him and for him." In Job 34-14, 1:5, v, the Bible states, "If he, God, should set his heart on it, if he should gather to himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh would perish together, and man would return to dust. This illustrates without a doubt how important God is to all of us. At least in my mind it does. In the book of Romans, Paul states, "For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." Romans 1:20 NKJV. In this verse, Paul is saying there is no reason for anyone to not know about God because has revealed himself through visible means on earth. The reason they deny God is because of their ungodliness and unrighteousness. They suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Romans 1:18 NKJV. The Apostle Paul wrote in Ephesians 6:12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." Emphasis is the author's. Author note: before continuing, let's define some additional terms. Many of these terms will be found multiple times throughout this discourse. Realm is defined as a community or territory over which a sovereign rules, a kingdom. The American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, 5th edition, online. Sovereign is defined as one that exercises supreme, permanent authority, especially in a nation or other governmental unit. The American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, 5th edition, online. Dominion refers to the God-given authority, stewardship, and the relationship between humanity and creation. BibleDictionaryToday.com. Principalities often refers to ranks or orders of spiritual beings, particularly in the context of spiritual warfare and authority. BibleDictionaryToday.com. Powers signifies divine authority and sovereignty. God is the ultimate source of power, usually associated with spiritual authorities or forces, good and bad. By BDictionaryToday.com. Thrones refers to a class of angels. Wikipedia. Virtues, forces. Shaped like sparks of light, virtues are in charge of maintaining the natural world, and they inspire living things in areas such as science. They also take orders from the angels above and convert them into miracles for the deserving. When they make themselves known to us in their earthly forms, they are musicians, artists, healers, and scientists who work with the power of love as well as physics. The two angels at the ascension of Jesus are believed to have been virtues. 9 types of angels. How stuff works. The spiritual realm is known by many different names. For this discourse, in order to prevent confusion, I will use the term spiritual realm to reference the spirit realm as described above. Based on the definitions above, including these scripture passages, it would seem to indicate there truly is a spiritual realm in the heavenly places. So, if there is a spiritual realm in the heavenly places, what other evidence is there to support this notion? Jesus is quoted in Matthew, "Take heed that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven." 1810 NKJV. When Israel was leaving Egypt, the Israelites saw the Lord by day and night. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night from before the people. Exodus 13:20, 1-2 NKJV. In 2 Kings, the Syrian king was waging a war against the people of Israel. Elisha kept thwarting the Syrian king's plans because God was telling his prophet Elisha what the Syrian king was going to do. This irritated the Syrian king so much so he sent an army to capture Elisha. I know what you are thinking. What has that to do with the spiritual realm? I'm coming to that. Although it could be said God's informing Elisha of the Syrian king's plans could be tied in with the spiritual realm, but there is more. When Elisha's servant saw the amassed army surrounding the city, the servant was afraid. Elisha told the servant to not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed and said, "Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see." Then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. 2 Kings 6:16, 1-7. NKJV. The horses and chariots were part of the spiritual realm. I believe it is safe to say the consensus of the information so far indicates there is in fact a spiritual realm. So, accepting there is a spiritual realm, let us examine what this spiritual realm might be. What is the spiritual realm? So what is this so-called spiritual realm? On the website Kids Answers, an 8th grader asked, what is the spiritual realm? The answer provided, I believe, is pretty easy and complete. The spiritual realm is a place that exists parallel to next to our physical world. The spiritual realm is where God, angels, and other spiritual beings dwell. Beings in the spiritual realm can interact with our physical world. This definition makes a lot of sense and simply defines what the spiritual realm is. This discourse will delve a bit deeper into the spiritual realm and see what evidence can be provided to back up these claims. In Genesis 1, the Bible says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." The word used here, heavens, is plural, indicating multiple heavens. Heaven, or the heavens, is a common religious, cosmological, or supernatural place where beings such as deities, angels, souls, saints, or venerated ancestors are said to originate, be enthroned, or reside. Wikipedia. Heaven is the created reality beyond the earth. The heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1, circumscribe the entire creation, or what we call the universe. God does not need heaven in which to exist. He is self-existent and infinite. Place is an accommodation of God to his finite creatures. God transcends not only earth, but heaven as well. Baker's Evangelical Dictionary of Biblical Theology at BibleStudyTools.com. Place, evangelical.com. Place, evangelical.com. So far, we have learned that God created the heavens, the earth, including all things in heaven and on earth. Therefore, it is safe to say there is a spiritual realm and that it contains deities, angels, as well as fallen angels and demons. Let us now consider the location of this spiritual realm. Where is this spiritual realm? According to Baker's Evangelical Dictionary above, heaven, aka spiritual realm, is the created reality beyond the earth. So we know there is a spiritual realm above the earth, but does it stop at the earth or does it extend into the earth as well? Let's delve into that realm a bit more. There is a hierarchical aspect to the heavens. This discourse will describe the aspects of the heavens from a couple points of view. One point of view being the traditional 3 heavens, as some biblical commentaries describes them. The second will be the 10 heavens as found in the 2nd book of Enoch. Additionally, I will give my thoughts in regards to some of this heavens. One short note on who Enoch was and why his notion of the heavens is included in this discourse. Enoch was the 7th great-grandson of Adam. He lived prior to the flood. Noah is his great-grandson. Enoch is one of 2 people mentioned in the Bible that was removed from the earth without experiencing death. The Bible in Genesis 5:23-5 KJV tells us, "So all of the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. It is believed that he was taken from the earth by God." This and a few other things unique about Enoch lead me to believe that Enoch probably had some insights we may not have. For this reason, I am including Enoch's account of the heavens in this discourse. More traditional thinking in regards to heavens. The traditional thought regarding the heavens is there are 3 heavens. Firstly, there is the physical heaven. This is the sphere closely surrounding the earth, sometimes referred to as the first heaven. This R is where the clouds exist, where snow and rain fall from, where seasons change, cold and heat, summer and winter. He says to the snow, "Fall on the earth," likewise the gentle rain and the heavy rain of his strength. Job 37:6. From the chamber of the south comes the whirlwind, and cold from the scattering winds of the north. 37:9. While the earth remains, seedtime and harvest, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. Genesis 8:22. He makes spring gardens and autumn harvest. Psalm 104-27. Beyond our atmospheric realm is the area known as the celestial heaven, also known as the firmament. This region includes the sun, the moon, and the stars. In Psalms 104-2 NKJV, it states, "Who cover yourself with light as with a garment, who stretch out the heavens like a curtain." And again in Psalms 104-19, it says, "He appointed the moon for season." The sun knows it's going down. Note, celestial is defined as of or relating to the sky or visible heavens. Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary. Beyond the first two regions is a region referred to as Heaven of Heavens. A third concept of heaven, also called Heaven of Heavens, is mentioned in such passages as Genesis 28-12, Deuteronomy 10:14-1, Kings 8:27, as a distinctly spiritual realm containing or being traveled by angels and God. Wikipedia, Third Heaven. 10 heavens per second Enoch. According to Enoch, there are 10 heavens. This discourse will briefly discuss each one and what each of these heavens contains. There are a couple heavens we may delve into a bit more for interest's sake. The first heaven, this is the area that contains clouds, start, snow, and morning dew. 2 Enoch, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. The second heaven, this is the prison of darkness, death, and despair. This is the prison for the angels of darkness that allied with Satan in his original rebellion. 2 Enoch 7 gegen 1 bis 3. The third, heaven mercy of paradise and justice of hell. This is a paradise reserved for the good and righteous. 2 Enoch 8-1-10, 9-1, 10-1-3. The fourth, heaven 12 gates of the sun and the moon. The pathways for the sun and moon. 2 Enoch 11-1-6, 12-1-2, 13-1-2, 14-1-2, 15-1-3, 16-1-3, 17-1. The fifth, heaven giants of silence, sadness, and regret. A place of great sadness and gloom filled with a large number of gigantic human soldiers who chose Satan as their prince, rejected the Lord. 2 Enoch 1:8-1-7. The sixth, heaven archangels of the arts and sciences. Home to 7 groups of angels that rule over and track the motions of the stars, oversee and manage the various governments on earth, keep records of good and bad deeds of everyone, keep watch over earth's natural systems of life and death. Home to 6 phoenixes, 6 cherubim, 6 seraphim, who collectively sing otherworldly songs. 2 Enoch 19-1-3-6. The seventh, heaven powers and dominions of fire and light. A realm filled with light and fire, quite full of archangels, virtues, forces, dominions, powers, orders, and principalities, governments, and much more. 2 Enoch 20 gegen 1 bis 2, 21 gegen 3. The eighth, heaven summer and winter of drought and snow, contains the controls of the seasons as well as the 12 constellations. 2 Enoch 21-7. The ninth, heaven 12 secret mansions of the stars in the night, home to all of the constellations, including the 12 constellations and those above 2 Enoch 21-8. The 10th, heaven cherubim, seraphim, and the throne of thunder and lightning, highest of the heavens, location of God's throne, where God holds counsel with his angels and saints, makes decisions, hands down his judgments, commands his countless angels. 2 Enoch 22-1-10. There is another aspect we need to examine with regards to the spiritual realm. This aspect has to do with the fallen angels known as the Watchers. We will examine them a bit closer a little later in this discourse, but in regards to the spiritual realm, we need to add this here. The Apostle Peter in 2 Peter 2-4 states, "For God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell, Tartarus, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment." Although this discourse has not fully addressed the role of angels or what exactly they are, yet we understand they are quite likely to be spiritual beings. If angels are in fact spiritual beings, then this Tartarus, aka hell, must also be a part of the spiritual realm. Therefore, this must mean there is a spiritual realm aspect within the earth as well.
Please join us again tomorrow for more stories. Follow us at Great Living Stories on YouTube or Rumble. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. This also helps the channel grow. If you are interested in become a part of the Great Living Stories family and would like to support our storytelling efforts, please consider a donation. This will enable us to provide better stories and videos. Donations can be made via PayPal at the link listed.